The fluorescent lights of Martel Market buzzed overhead as Julia Carter stifled a yawn. 3 more hours on her shift, and her feet already ached from standing at Register 5 since noon. Outside, the November rain tapped against the wide glass windows, turning the parking lot into a mirror of puddles and flickering neon signs. Paper or plastic? Julia asked automatically, her fingers dancing across the scanner with rhythmic ease. The young mother in front of her juggled a fussy toddler while flipping through a stack of worn-out coupons. Plastic is fine, she muttered. And can you double bag? Last time they tore open in the rain. Julia nodded with a warm, practiced smile. Small acts of kindness were her specialty, double bagging fragile items, gently waiting while seniors counted out change, lending patience when others offered only speed. These gestures, often ignored by her coworkers, were what gave her mundane shift a sense of meaning. As evening settled, the store emptied. Tuesday nights were always slow, especially when the weather turned cold and grim. Julia checked her watch. 8:47 p.m. Most cashiers had already gone home, leaving only her and Matt at Register 2, thumbing through his phone in between customers. The automatic doors hissed open. A gust of cold air swept in with an elderly man, shoulders hunched beneath a beige windbreaker. A faded baseball cap embroidered with Vietnam veteran sat atop his gray hair. His steps were slow, deliberate, his hands trembling slightly as he navigated the aisles. Julia watched him discreetly. He moved with the quiet calculation of someone counting every cent occasionally. He returned items to shelves after checking the prices. The careful way he mouthed the numbers, the tight lines around his mouth, told a story without words. Another customer entered behind him, a man in a tattered work coat and stained jeans. His beard was unkempt, eyes alert beneath a baseball cap pulled low. He grabbed a basket and disappeared into the cereal aisle. 20 minutes later, the veteran approached Register 5 with a modest handful of items, a loaf of bread, peanut butter, canned soup, bananas, milk, and a small pack of ground beef. "Evening, sir," Julia greeted him warmly. "Evening, miss," he replied. His voice was soft, tinged with the gravel of years and cigarettes. "Did you find everything you needed?" "I think so. Prices keep climbing, though," he said, eyes flicking toward the toddler still fussing on the magazine rack. "They really do," Julia agreed, scanning the items. "It's tough on everyone." The disheveled man loitered nearby, thumbing through a fishing magazine. Julia noticed him glance over, but didn't think much of it. "That'll be $28.75, she said, finishing the last scan. The veteran, whose name she would later learn was Henry Shaw, pulled a worn wallet from his back pocket and handed her a debit card. She swiped it. Declined. His face fell. He tried again, this time fumbling slightly. Declined. A businessman in a sleek raincoat sighed behind him. "Could you hurry it up?" he called out. A pair of teenagers giggled nearby. Henry's shoulders slumped. "Just the bread and peanut butter, then," he said quietly, voice lined with shame. Something broke in Julia. Without a second thought, she reached under the counter for her own debit card and swiped it. "No need, sir. It's taken care of," she said gently. He looked up, confusion and pride warring on his face. "I can't let you do that, miss." She leaned in and whispered, "We have a veterans discount program. It's on the house tonight. Please." A lie, but one spoken only to preserve his dignity. His eyes, cloudy with age, filled with tears. "I thank you. Not many would have. I'm Henry Shaw. 20 years in the Army." "Julia," she said, handing him his bags. As Henry exited, the impatient businessman rolled his eyes and stepped forward. Behind a rack, the disheveled man watched the entire exchange with interest. What Julia didn't know, what no one knew, was that he wasn't just another late-night shopper. His name was Mason Hale, and he was the CEO of Martel Market. 3 weeks into an undercover mission to investigate falling morale and declining loyalty across his store chain. He slipped the magazine back into the rack and followed Henry into the rainy night, making a mental note of Register 5 and the cashier with kind eyes who had just sacrificed nearly an hour's wages for a stranger. The next morning dawned cold but clear. Julia rushed through the employee entrance, coffee in hand, windblown hair tied back, barely clocking in before her shift. She winced at the memory of the $28 now missing from her bank account, money meant for her electric bill. "Worth it," she muttered. Then came the call. Julia Carter to the manager's office immediately. Her stomach sank. Inside, Marjorie Evans, the stern-faced store manager, sat with a folder open on her desk. Without a word, she spun her monitor around. Security footage played. Julia swiping her own card. "Would you care to explain this?" Julia explained. Marjorie's response was swift. That was an unauthorized transaction. Company policy strictly forbids arbitrary discounts or fictional promotions. You misrepresented our store. It wasn't a discount, Julia said, trying to stay calm. I used my own card. I just didn't want to embarrass him. Irrelevant, Marjorie snapped. You created false expectations. I'm suspending you without pay pending corporate review. Julia stared. For how long? Minimum 2 weeks. The form slid across the desk. Her hand shook as she signed it. By lunch, whispers of her suspension had spread. Diane from the deli taped an envelope to the break room board labeled Support Julia Carter. By 1 p.m., it held $93 in small bills and coins. Marjorie removed it by 2 p.m. Julia, meanwhile, sat at home scrolling job boards, her savings vanishing faster than hope. She didn't regret helping Henry, but she feared she wouldn't recover from it. She didn't notice the black SUV parked near her apartment. Mason Hale sat inside, reviewing the footage again. Her kindness hadn't gone unnoticed, and it would not go unrewarded. The next day, Mason convened his executive team at Martel Corporate HQ. In a sleek boardroom, he played the footage. Executives watched in silence. She paid from her own pocket, Mason said, then was suspended for it. Technically, she violated policy someone offered weekly. She upheld our values better than anyone in this room, Mason said. He opened a folder. 3 years. Perfect record. Full-time student. High marks in customer service. Another folder. Marjorie Evans. Sales-focused. 6 complaints in the last year, all dismissed. He closed both. Effective immediately, Julia Carter is reinstated with back pay. Marjorie Evans is terminated. And we begin overhauling store policy. Back at Martel Market, chaos reigned. A camera crew followed Mason into the break room the next morning. Employees gasped. He played the footage, then introduced himself. This company was built on people. Somewhere, we lost that. Julia reminded us. Marjorie argued. Mason silenced her with 2 words. You're fired. Then he turned to the staff. Anyone who supported Julia will be acknowledged, not punished. Henry Shaw stepped into the room. She didn't just help me buy groceries, he said. She helped me stand tall again. Julia, stunned by the news, was escorted to corporate headquarters the next day. There, Mason offered her a new job, regional director of customer care, with a salary that tripled her old one. You have what matters, he told her. Empathy. Integrity. She accepted, on one condition. We rewrite the policy that punished me for being kind. He grinned. Already done. 6 months later, Martel Market launched its People First initiative. Julia's programs trained managers in compassionate leadership. Henry Shaw helped launch a veteran support network. And in the company's main lobby, framed in gold, hung a receipt for $28.75, the price of groceries, and the cost of changing a company forever.